Hello everyone, and welcome to another royal reading here at Mad World Tarot. Yes, you can see the L is back. This is not the original L. It's a replacement for the original L. Anyway, we're back. We're feeling cheerful. It's a glorious autumn evening, late afternoon, early evening, and I think we need some light relief today. So we have the Shadowland Tarot on the tarot table, and we're looking at an article that has appeared in Radar Online. It's a very unkind article. It seems to be coming from source, and it tells us that vain Meghan Markle is ordering the has-been to lose weight because she has an image to uphold. And then it goes on to say that people have been talking about Harry's bloated appearance recently. And yes, they have. All over the place. They've been commenting on how rough he looks. Bloated in court in the last few weeks. In London, he was looking very rough on that door cam, where the photo of him, and looking rough in that video call to the centenarian in Ghana very recently, looking extra rough in those photos at the Beyonce concert. He's got a bit of a paunch, but he looks bloated, he looks hungover, he looks sweaty, he looks scruffy, and the bloat, I think, is an interesting word. I'm going to call it oak bloat, but I think, a bit of a sniff can also lead to, and we're going to have to say I'm thirsty and send someone rushing to the fridge to help me out, as Lady C does. But that can also help or compound this kind of situation. Meghan, on the other hand, we're told, and shall we throw in a huge big allegedly at this point, Meghan, on the other hand, according to Radar Online, is in the best shape of her life. She works hard for it, we are told. This is why I say I think this has been dialed in straight from Montecito, this article. She eats very healthy. Never mind the grammar. She has a trainer, and she goes to gym 5 days a week. Of course, it's that exhausting lifestyle that she has that allows her to go to gym 5 days a week. And she does physical activity every day, including hiking with the kids. Now, that part made me fall about laughing. If she thinks that hiking with a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old is going to keep her in spectacularly good shape, then I don't think she's ever been hiking with a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. Anyway, we're going to have a little look at this with the Shadowland Tarot, just for the sake of fun and entertainment, because why not? If apparently she's in the best shape of her life, we want to test this and see how she's got to be in the best shape of her life, because she's moving in social circles where a lot of women in Montecito have lost a spectacular amount of weight, not by hiking and eating healthy and going to gym 5 days a week, but with some very cutesy little injections. And a lot of people speculate that Meghan herself is availing of that new medical breakthrough technology, shall we call it medical technology. So we're just going to see what's going on. We're going to ask how they both are, what shape they're in generally, what's the reason for the bloat and the has-been side, how has Meghan got to be so skinny, the best shape of her life, allegedly. We're going to ask about party lifestyle for both of them, because Meghan has been observed doing some quite intense day drinking. For instance, on her With Love Meghan show on Netflix and on Instagram, also at the polo. Her thirst for champagne seemingly caused some trouble for the Centre Barley staff, who had to go scrambling to find some, and that was apparently one of the reasons why she and Dr. Sophie Chanduka fell out last year at the polo in Florida. So you can see where we're heading. We're going to ask as well where Harry's lifestyle is leading for him. Apparently it's down to the bloat. I forgot to tell you, is down to too much salt from takeaways and too much alcohol. So we're going to ask where this lifestyle is leading for him, and we're going to ask where her best shape that she's ever been in is leading for her. And we are going to remind you that this is just tarot for fun and entertainment, and it is all my opinion and all speculation, and we just read energy here. We're just going to check up on these claims that Megan goes to gym 5 times a week. I'm not noting any muscle there, I have to say. I think if you went to gym 5 days a week, you would have some muscles, just some. So just reading energy and disclaimer in the box below. 9 of Wands. And 9 of Wands is that sort of under siege energy of, that's our underlying energy, of course, of just being battered from all sides and having to try and protect yourself. This is the old has-been. This is a particularly unkind article that has appeared in Radar Online. Whoever the source, and we're not going to ask who the source is, we can speculate. I have my own ideas about the source because it does inflate Madame's side of the equation and diminish the has-been's side of the equation quite terribly. I don't know why I'm talking about equations so much lately. Since the fridge magnets came off the fridge, oddly enough, the words disappeared from the fridge. But anyway, we have somebody who's really browbeaten, being harangued, being diminished, being attacked, feeling sore. That has been in the 9 of Wands. That to me is his energy under attack from, I would speculate, very close to home. Imagine if your spouse or someone very close to your spouse told an online newspaper to write an article about how unsightly you are and how you really need to get in shape. How would you feel? Anyway, that's the underlying energy. The heart of the matter today is the 8 of Swords, and it's in reverse. This is being stuck and not being able to get out of your predicament, the little trap that you have made for yourself and you now found yourself stuck in. I would say both of them are stuck in the situation that they are in with each other at the moment. Someone desperately wanting to escape but not seeing any way out of his mess. Possibly the way out at the moment is the reason for the bloat, shall we just say, and that is of course wild speculation on my part, as this entire reading is wild speculation and full of snark for fun and entertainment. Harry over here, Megan over here, general shape that he's in, his state of health. We're not talking about mental, we're talking about physical. Oh dear, 3 of Swords, and it's in reverse. This is painful. It's a painful card even to hold. Stabbed through the heart, betrayed, broken-hearted, wretched, really devastated. And as I said, if I were him and I chanced upon this Radar Online article, I would be devastated. I really would be. I mean, this is an enemy, a viper in the bosom. 3 of Swords is that kind of energy. So I'm not talking emotions, but I've got emotions. 3 of Swords is all emotions. If he's broken-hearted and wretched and betrayed and stuck, 8 of Swords in reverse, he might be, as I said, medicating with certain substances. We've been told junk food and alcohol by Radar Online. We could expand that, and we are going to investigate further on in this reading. But that could lead to you looking bloated and sad and wretched and hungover and sweaty and sort of shuffling around. If you have ever been in that kind of emotional turmoil and resorted to comfort eating or drinking, then you know the feeling. So let's look at Megan, who is, according to Radar Online, in the best shape of her life. Really? We're just checking, reading the energy, using tarot. We've got 2 of Swords. 2 of Swords isn't really a physical card either. It's interesting, we have a 3 of Swords in reverse there and a 2 of Swords over here. It's kind of telling me that's debatable, because it's a debate card, the 2 of Swords. I don't often use that word in these royal readings, but if really contemplating the odds when you're in Two of Swords energy. You're debating alternatives. Should I do this? Should I do that? Should I stay? Should I go? Should I go to gym today? Or should I spend the day by the pool drinking? I'm being facetious, of course. But that Two of Swords doesn't tell me someone is in a very healthy situation physically. It tells me that someone is faced with alternatives that possibly are equally toxic, which is quite strange. Because when you're in the Two of Swords energy and you have your devil in the deep blue sea kind of energy, really, that doesn't tell me going to gym 5 days a week. Just saying. So we're reading energy here. I'm expressing opinions. I'm speculating. Let's move on to why is Harry looking so bloated, so rough, and let's see what the cards have to tell us. Might be the cause of his look. We got the Knight of Swords, and the Knight of Swords is that attack energy, very much. I think it's got to do. It's not showing the things that I thought it might show, the tarot, but we are going to ask the direct question in the next round. It's giving me that it's the stress that he's under from all these campaigns that he's waging in the courts. Mostly that Knight of Swords has a bit of a crusading energy. The Dragon Slayer energy is very much that Knight of Swords, and if he's burning the midnight oil on conference calls with lawyers, and I should imagine for a bear of very little brain, it's quite difficult to keep up with what the lawyers are talking about and to follow. Remember the judge in the recent appeal, or possibly the previous round on the security thing, said that despite the fact that it had been explained to the has-been over and over and over how he was going to lose this case and what really the issue was, he didn't seem to grasp it. That's a kind way of putting it. I think it was put in a much less kind way. But I think that he's just exhausted from all this battling that he's doing. Mental turmoil, this energy that's being invested in strategizing and fighting and having to be clever and having to slay dragons. So hence the bloat. And perhaps the late nights, then you would live on pizzas and burgers, take out Chinese, lots of sword, and lots possibly of washing it down with alcohol. That's the story that I'm getting from there. Now, we've told that Megan's in the best shape of her life. I'm questioning that with that Two of Swords, and it looks like the tarot is questioning that as well and telling me that's debatable. Let's see how she's arrived at her current skinny form. What does the tarot want to tell me about that? Is it gym 5 times a week and eating healthy? We've got the Fool. And that's interesting because it's a fresh start, the Fool. And it's a fresh energy, and perhaps she has decided to embark on some sort of new form of regime, health regime, new. The Fool is new and excited about the thing, and it's quite risky, the Fool, and the things that it does. If I'm honest about that Fool energy, again, I'm not going to gym 5 times a week. That would be a different kind of an energy. This tells me that she's trying something new, something that's possibly quite untested, something that's possibly a little bit risky, something in this energy as well that's telling me, really, if you believe what you're being told, then you really are being quite gullible. The Fool. So I think we'll leave that there. I think you can reach your own conclusions from the energy that I have expressed from that Fool card, called the Seeker, of course, but I think the Seeker found what the Seeker was looking for in that rather capacious bag that she is carrying with her head that fell off, interestingly, in the process. So let's ask about the party lifestyle that people speculate both Parkles indulge in. Let's look at Harry first. A lot of people saying that ringing at all those doors in London was to find someone or something to party with. Let's ask about the impact of party lifestyle on him. We've got the King of Wands. King of Wands could be a party card. It's not showing me indulgence per se, as some of the tarot cards could, but the King of Wands is larger than life. It is that kind of let's all let our hair down and hang out and have a good time. So I think there is quite a large party energy in there, but I'm not, to be fair to Harry, I'm not getting massive overindulgence. I am getting, interestingly for Harry, more of a sense of stress, working at things that he's not very comfortable at mentally, intellectually, and that is why he might be resorting to takeaways and drinking and stuff like that. So to be fair to him, I will say that. How about Meghan and her proclivity for partying? Do you remember, I think it was the French ambassador who lived near the Parkles and their little cottage at Kensington Palace, and how the parties went on not all night but all weekend, and helicopters coming and going with people and possibly things. So let's see, is Meghan partying hard, or is she really living clean? And we've got the Three of Wands, and the Three of Wands is a kind of anticipatory energy. It's optimistic, it's hopeful energy, it's waiting for the good things in life to come your way. I'm not getting wild partying there either. I'm getting more that she's pretty focused on her dreams and her goal of being a billionaire, which is about to happen if we only believed as much as she believed, and if we had the same vision board that she had. Perhaps I should mail her these fridge magnets for the vision board. I have surplus at the moment. So no, I'm not getting wild partying here. I'm getting more waiting for the moment when the wild partying can start, because the first billion has landed in the bank. Interesting rumor from Crazy Days and Nights about a pyramid scheme that might be being hatched at this point. We'll look at that later on. Let's look at where this health situation is tending. Harry first, currently a little bit unhealthy. Where's it going? We've got the Ace of Cups in reverse. Heartbreak, being unloved. If you carry on being so fat and bloated and podgy and paunchy, I'm not going to love you and nobody's going to love you. That's a very negative message to send out, don't you think? Especially when you have young children around and who might be picking up on some of this messaging. Very negative messaging. So it could end in tears if he doesn't get his act together and get back in shape. The rings could be in the post, and she could be making off with a blender, because we do know she does like a green juice or something to blend in the blender. So for Harry, it doesn't look like it's going to end happily, but it doesn't look like a health catastrophe so much, or crisis so much, as an emotional kind of rejection or disappointment. But we've already got the Three of Swords in here, so how much worse can it get? And the Eight of Swords. Let's not forget somebody very stuck, very miserable, can't see a way out except to eat his In-N-Out burgers or whatever it is that he is fixated on at the moment. Meghan, of course, in the best shape of her life. How's she going to do physically going forward? Ooh, that's an interesting card, the Hanged Man. That's a problem. And funnily enough, in recent readings, I've been getting little hits that I haven't had any reason to express on this channel in the middle of the readings, that it's all very well to point and jeer at other people's health crises and get your flying monkeys out and whipping up hate and all of that stuff. Sometimes it comes back to haunt. This is a bit of a coming back to haunt energy with the Hanged Man. Pisces energy, Neptune, the Hanged Man. Neptune energy has a bit of an old substance problem there. Let's just say that's what Neptune is famous for. It's the first sign of that I've got in this reading, and I've been looking for it in every card that I have picked up in this reading. I've been looking for that energy. It showed up on her side of the spread, I won't say equation. Bit of a problem there. Well, that's showing up, and it's major arcana, so it might be more than a bit of a problem. It could be a big problem. And it's the kind of problem that, if it is the kind of problem that I speculate it is, could end up in some kind of timeout for drying out or some such thing, because the Hanged Man is taken out of circulation when that card is in the position it is in. And you have to look at things differently, and you possibly have to acknowledge that you have a bit of a problem, and the problem might be more serious than you thought or than other people thought. This is wild speculation. It's very interesting to me that it's shown up in this reading, because Harry is the one that's been singled out in this Radar Online article for allegedly drinking too much, and that's why he's all bloated and puffy, and people are commenting on it. But the one that's got the oopsie kind of energy is actually Megan. And I'm getting other kinds of health issues in there. I'm not going to express them because they're too vague. They're at the level of vague that they have been in previous readings recently, that they're not coalescing into something solid that I can actually express for you. They're just very vague energy at this point. And of course, this is just energy that I'm reading. It's all for fun and entertainment and all my opinion. That is the reading. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one.